Okay, and does it show that it's recording? Because I can't see while I'm sharing my screen.
Yes, it
Yes, it does. Yep.
Okay. All right. Hello, and welcome to Breastfeeding 101, prenatal breastfeeding education class. I am your instructor, and this is being funded by NACHO in partnership with EMU CDC REACH. And where else you going? Okay. I don't have any conflicts or disclosures. I am a contractor with Coffective, which is part of the education that we'll be using today, but they are not paying me to do this class. Okay. This is me when my hair is done. I am Tameka Jackson-Dyer. I'm an IBCLC, which is an international board certified lactation consultant, a CHW community health worker, a certified lactation educator, and a certified lactation specialist. I'm the lactation consultant and breastfeeding subject matter expert with the EMU CDC REACH project. Also working with the Wayne County Healthy Communities Clinic under their NACHO grant as a lactation consultant. Like I said before, I'm a project consultant for Coffective. I'm also the owner of my private practice, Crazy Milk Lady Lactation Support Services. I'm the chair of Metro Detroit Wayne County Breastfeeding Coalition, a co-founder of Southeast Michigan IBCLCs of Color, and I'm also a wife and mom of 3 with almost 4 years of personal breastfeeding experience. So our objectives for today are to dispel the myths regarding breastfeeding. All of us have heard lots of things that are not necessarily true when it comes to breastfeeding. So I want to make sure we get rid of some of those myths, discuss the importance of exclusive breastfeeding, educate on the risks of formula feeding or artificial milk feeding, help you build your team and find your champion. These are terms that Coffective uses. We'll get into that a little bit later. Answer any questions or concerns that you have, get you ready to breastfeed in the hospital, and talk about breastfeeding during COVID-19. Okay, so why is breastfeeding important? Because it's good for both of you. It's good for mom and baby. Breastfeeding helps moms to regain their pre-pregnancy weight faster. It helps to lessen bleeding after delivery, which can cut the risk of hemorrhaging. It helps mamas get their uterus back down to its normal size and shape. It also helps to reduce risk of breast cancer, ovarian cancer, cervical cancer, even high blood pressure in the early postpartum weeks. And for babies, it helps to boost their immune system, keeps them from spitting up as much. They're less likely to have ear infections, allergies, asthma. It reduces their risk of type 2 diabetes. If you are expecting a girl, it helps to reduce her risk of breast cancer as well. And it's also good for the environment and for the family. It saves you money, which is always important. It helps to reduce waste in our landfills because there's no packaging to throw away when you're breastfeeding. And it actually helps you get more sleep, which doesn't seem like it when you have a brand new baby, but studies have proven that breastfeeding mamas actually get about an extra 40 minutes of sleep every night, which doesn't sound like a lot until you are in that zombie lack of sleep phase with a brand new baby, and every minute counts. So breast milk literally can save lives. According to the World Health Organization, if every woman breastfed within an hour of birth and did it exclusively for the first 6 months, meaning their milk only, and breastfed their babies until they were at least 2, it would save 1 million lives every year worldwide. So that's kind of major. Just something that we make naturally could do that. And one of the reasons why that works is because your breast milk contains 3 million germ-killing cells in every teaspoon. You know how small a teaspoon is? Your breast milk is awesome. You are amazing. You make this wonderful, fabulous thing for free with the same body that grew your baby, specifically for your baby. So what is Coffective? Coffective is a mashup of 2 words. It's community plus effective, meaning that the community should inform the education and the tools that are used to help them, because nobody knows what the community needs better than the community. And it's a lot more effective when the community is involved in creating the tools that they need. So the Coffective system for breastfeeding education involves 7 steps. Get ready, fall in love, keep baby close, learn your baby, nourish, and protect breastfeeding. And these steps are built on the baby-friendly principles. Baby-friendly is a program that hospitals follow to help increase breastfeeding rates and the success of breastfeeding exclusively in the hospital. So Coffective is completely built off of that concept, but more, it's broken down into more user-friendly method than what they use in the hospital. The hospital uses a lot of, doctor language and medicalese, and this is more built for the consumer, which would be you, pregnant mamas. Okay, so today we're going to talk about motivation. The motivation document is, if you have WIC, you may have seen this poster right here, hangs up in the lobby of most WIC offices, and it goes over all of the steps involved in the Coffective system or in the baby-friendly system. And the motivation document lays it all out. In the beginning, it tells you what all the steps are. And today we'll be talking about getting motivated and building your team. So it gives you information on why breastfeeding is important. It talks about finding your champion. Oh, okay. It talks about finding your champion. Your champion is your support person, your main support person. And you can have more than one, but they chose the term champion because they will help to support you and, if necessary, fight for what you want in the hospital and with the system. Because when you have a baby or when you're in labor, you can't always tell the doctors or the staff what you want or the things that you need. And so your champion is that person. They're your voice when you're not able to. It goes over getting ready, making sure that you're going to your doctor's appointments, keeping up with your prenatal appointments, choosing baby's doctor, getting as much education as possible. You're already doing that because you're here today. Falling in love, that's when baby first comes, all of the emotions and the hormones and all the things that go along with that, and basically meeting your baby for the first time. Keep baby close. They talk about rooming in, which is, keeping the baby in the room with you in the hospital, not sending them off to the nursery. Learning your baby, figuring out the cues that babies give when they're hungry, when they want something. Nourish, how to make sure that breastfeeding is going well, and then protecting breastfeeding. If things aren't going exactly as planned, ways that you can make sure that you have an adequate milk supply and that baby is getting your milk and enough of your milk. So it goes over all of those things, and it also talks about the app. There's a mobile app that goes along with the system, and making sure that you talk to your doctor or your medical staff about breastfeeding and what you want to do. So, exclusive breastfeeding, which is only breast milk, mommy milk only, nothing else for the first 6 months. A healthy full-term baby does not even need water, okay? You have everything they need. They don't need anything else. I don't care what grandma says. I don't care what auntie so-and-so says. I don't care what your cousin did or what your best friend tells you to do. The only thing your baby needs is the milk that you make for them with the same body that grew them for the first 6 months of their life. And then you add on complementary foods, which is complementary not as in saying something nice, but complementary as in adding to, meaning that your milk should still be the main source of nutrition when they start to eat solid foods. And you continue to breastfeed for at least, you see I got it in bold print in big letters, at least 2 years, or as long as mom and baby both desire. And the reason why that's important is because all of these organizations agree there has never been any particular stance that all of these medical organizations got together and said, yes, we all agree on this one thing. They usually disagree with each other all the time. If you've ever read any kind of studies or just seen the articles dealing with COVID-19 alone, you can see that doctors and scientists, they're all saying different things. But this right here, they all agree. The Academy of Breastfeeding Medicine, the Centers for Disease Control, the World Health Organization, the American Academy of Family Physicians, the American Academy of Pediatrics, they all say exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months, the addition of complementary foods, and continued breastfeeding for at least a year, that's the CDC. I'm sorry, the AAP says at least a year. And that was because in America, we like to make babies start drinking cow's milk at 1 year. And so the cow's milk lobby got that in there. But the rest of the world says at least 2 years. But the AAP also does agree with as long as mom and baby both desire. So it doesn't mean that you have to stop at a year or stop at 2 years, but that's how long you should do it at minimum. And the American Academy of Family Physicians actually has extra wording in their statement that says babies who are weaned before the age of 2 years are at higher risk for certain health issues. So that's what the experts say, okay? And it makes sense because human milk is for human babies. There is no substitute that even comes close to what you make. I love this little picture here. The woman who created it actually was my trainer for my certified lactation educator course. And she came up with it when watching her kids play with Lego blocks one day. And it perfectly illustrates the difference between what you make and what comes in the can. Okay, so as you can see, the breast milk tower is much higher than the formula tower. There are a lot of things missing from baby formula. So a lot of times people will say, oh, well, you need to add formula because, you know, baby needs to get, well, when you add formula, you're actually taking things away because all of these things that are in human milk don't exist in baby formula. And then the things that are in formula don't match what you make. Obviously, the water that your body makes is different than the water that you would get out of the tap or from the jug or whatever. The protein in your milk is specifically made to grow a baby human. Excuse me. The protein in formula comes from cow's milk. Cow's milk is made to grow baby cows. The carbohydrates in your milk, which are the parts that give energy so that baby can grow, are very different from the carbs that are in baby formula. The carbs in baby formula mostly come from corn syrup, which we know is not very good for us. And some baby formulas, depending on which kind or brand, can be almost 40%. Yes, almost 40% sweetener or corn syrup. The DHA and ARA, this one is always very interesting to me because this did not exist in baby formulas until around 2001, 2002. I know I was expecting my oldest at the time, and they had just started rolling out the formula with the added DHA and ARA. And I remember picking up the can and looking, and I'm like, well, what is this? And it had like big letters and like gold shiny foil on the can. And it's like, now closer to breast milk. And then I read the can. And the DHA and the ARA in breast milk is specifically made to grow human brains. It's a hormone, a set of hormones that's specifically made to build human brain cells, which is obviously the most important part of a human because that's why we're at the top of the food chain, because humans have the biggest brain for our relative body size. The DHA and ARA in baby formula comes from chemically treated algae and fungus. Yes. They actually treat it with a toxin, and the chemical reaction that results creates this form of DHA and ARA. So not only is it completely foreign from the human body, it has a toxin in it, which is poison, and there are no studies to prove that it does what DHA and ARA in breast milk does. So it's a marketing ploy that allows them to charge more money for it. The fat in your milk, meant to grow human babies. The fat in formula usually comes from vegetable oil. The vitamins and minerals in human milk are specifically created to be absorbed by the human body. If you've ever taken vitamins, minerals, if you're taking your prenatals now, you know that your body doesn't take those vitamins the same way as they do from natural sources, like if you're eating your fruits and vegetables and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of it, actually, the baby just pees and poops it out because their body can't even absorb it. And then that's where formula stops. But your milk keeps going. Enzymes, those are chemicals that help to break down the proteins and fat in your milk so that baby can digest them. That doesn't exist in formula. Growth factors, anti-parasites, anti-allergens, antiviruses, hormones, antibodies, which help to fight diseases and viruses. All of these things that are in your milk, and these are just the things that they've been able to measure and figure out. They're constantly studying human milk. As a matter of fact, right now I have some colleagues who are working on a study to see about the antibodies to COVID-19 that have been found in breast milk. So your milk is amazing. Keep saying that, because as long as I've been doing this, I'm still fascinated by what we make. So your milk is awesome and amazing. What are the risks associated with formula feeding? Now, I like to talk about the risks of formula instead of the benefits of breastfeeding, because technically there are no benefits to breastfeeding. A benefit is something extra. A benefit is something above and beyond that was unexpected. A good example is if you go to work and your boss shows up and hands you an envelope with a Christmas bonus in it. That is a benefit. That is something above and beyond, something you did not expect. But when you go to work every day on Fridays, you expect to get your paycheck. That's not a benefit. That was something that you expected because that's what you put in work for. So when you breastfeed, all of the good things that can happen, you know, babies being healthier and smarter and being, you know, sick less and all that kind of stuff, those are not benefits. Those are things that we expect to happen because that is naturally the process that's supposed to occur when babies get human milk. Okay, so when I say there are no benefits to human milk, that's what I mean. Breast is not best, it's normal. Okay, but there are risks associated with artificial breast milk substitutes. Anytime you put something artificial in the body, there are side effects. And so formula has side effects. Babies who are early can develop something called NEC, which is basically their intestines die, and that can kill them. It can cause GI issues. So formula-fed babies are more likely to be gassy and fussy, have reflux where they're spitting up really hard all the time. They can be constipated. They can have diarrhea. The poop also smells a lot worse. I like to throw that in there because even though it's not necessarily considered a side effect, it's really important when you're changing a lot of diapers every day. Breastfed babies' diapers don't really smell as bad. Formula-fed babies have a higher risk of ear infections, allergies, SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome. That's when basically a healthy baby goes to sleep and does not wake up. SIDS is another way that they may term it, and that's sudden unexpected infant death syndrome. Higher rates of asthma, obesity, being overweight, diabetes type 1 and type 2, because human milk helps the body to form the way it's supposed to form, and type 1 diabetes is caused by a malfunction of the pancreas. So breastfed babies actually have lower risk of type 1 and type 2. Type 2 is more often associated with increased weight. And then there's the illness from contaminated or improperly prepared formula. When you breastfeed, there is nothing to mix, measure, wash, boil, sterilize. You don't have to follow directions at 2 o'clock in the morning while you're half asleep with a screaming baby. You don't have to make sure that the water is the right temperature or the right kind, or that it's been sterilized or anything like that. But with formula, you have to do all of those things. And powdered infant formula can hide some pretty bad bacteria, Salmonella and Chronobacter, and they have been found in infant formulas here in this country. A lot of times people think, oh, well, we live in America. We have, well, if you've ever heard of Flint, you know that not everybody in America has clean water access, and powdered infant formulas are not sterile. It actually tells you that on the can. If you go to the store, when you go grocery shopping next time, pick up a can of formula, turn it around and read the warnings. There are actually warnings on the back. And they say, your baby's health depends on carefully following the instructions. Failure to follow these instructions could result in severe harm. They do not include up to and including death, because I mean, nobody would buy it if they put that on there, but that is a possibility. There have been numerous stories in the news of babies who became very, very ill or even passed away because of contaminated formula. And it tells you on the can, powdered infant formula is not sterile. It tells you right there on the back in bold print. So if anything happens, you can't sue them because they're about business and not necessarily about your baby. So that's something important to keep in mind. So that's why exclusivity is important. Your milk only for as long as possible leads to a healthier breastfeeding family. You see how these people are pushing the formula on mom, and she is saying, absolutely not, my baby is getting breast milk. And there will be people and places and instances where formula may be pushed on you or recommended, or you may have a, someone who's like, oh, well, it's no big deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal. And I am not anti-formula. I am anti-uneducated moms. And so, like I said, I don't like breast is best. Breast is not best. Breast is normal. Fed is not best. Fed is required. Educated and supported is best. And that's why I do what I do. So exclusivity, your milk only for as long as possible, makes you and baby healthier, because breastfeeding is considered dosage dependent. That means the longer you do it, the greater the benefit or good outcomes for you and for baby. So choosing your champion. Your champion, like I said, is the person who is your advocate, the one who speaks for you when you're not able to, the one who backs up what you want to do, the one who can communicate with staff when you're not able, or when you just don't feel like being bothered anymore. That's your champion. That can be that person is very, very important, and it doesn't have to be just one person. Your champion is part of your team. So your team can be your partner, your mother, your father, friends and family, your bestie, your god sister, your cousin, your doctor or midwife should be on your team. They should be aware of your wishes, and they should honor your wishes. Baby's doctor, when choosing a pediatrician, which is something we don't really think about, but you really should be looking now while you're expecting for a pediatrician who is breastfeeding friendly, breastfeeding knowledgeable, who will support your desire to breastfeed as long as possible. If you have WIC, they are part of your team. WIC has breastfeeding peer counselors. Every WIC agency in the state of Michigan is required to have an international board certified lactation consultant on staff or contracted with them to help you with breastfeeding concerns. They can help you out with breastfeeding supplies, pumps, nursing pads, all kinds of stuff. Letters for your job when you're going back to work and you need to pump. Support groups, and I am a big fan of support groups. Support group is actually how I got into this line of work. So I encourage all moms to find, if it's not a formal support group, at least a group of friends or family who have breastfed successfully, who can help you do the same thing. You know, talking to the people who say, oh, I tried it, but I quit after 2 weeks. Those are not the people that you want on your team. You want people who can help you succeed, who will assist you in meeting your goals. There are lots of online groups right now, thanks to COVID. I can think of one of my organizations hosts one. I know there's a couple of WIC agencies that has support groups happening. There are community organizations that have them, but support groups are very, very important, especially when you have those questions that can't necessarily be answered by, you know, your doctor, or if none of your family breastfed, you know, the people who have been there, done that, the ones who can say, oh yes, that's totally normal, or yes, it's supposed to look like that. Those are the people that you want to get as part of your team, as advocates, as champions for you and baby, to make sure that you are able to meet the goals that you've set for yourself, and anything else that you may need. So that concludes the formal part of class. So now we can get to, okay. So now we can get to the part that I talked about, where I said answering your questions. So with that section presented, are there any questions? You can unmute yourself, or you can type it in the chat box. I'm not hearing. Is everybody still here? I'm like, am I frozen? Are the people still here? Okay, so no questions from Ola. What about you, Felicia? Let's see, and you're near the end. You only have 5 weeks left, and we didn't even go over all of the things, because this is an 8-class series that will be held every other week. So I can tell you, if you wanted more information, there is, who is hosting classes? I believe, do you have WIC? Okay, no questions from Felicia. Do either of you have WIC? And no. Okay. You may qualify, even if you don't think you do. The income guidelines for WIC are a lot higher. Oh, you don't. Neither one of you have WIC. Okay. So the income guidelines for WIC are a lot higher than most people think. And even though the clinics aren't open right now, you can still sign up online or call. I would recommend doing it online, because the phones are crazy right now. But you can qualify online, and benefits are usually instantaneous. Like once you finally get someone to respond to you, they can usually get you turned on immediately. And I encourage you to get it now if you can. A lot of people like to wait until baby comes, but the rule for WIC is usually go before you show. So it's a little bit too late for both of you for that. But you want to start getting benefits now if you qualify. So that way it's a lot easier to add baby on when they come. And the benefit to moms who are breastfeeding, because a lot of times people won't get WIC if they plan to breastfeed, because they're like, oh, I don't need formula, I'm breastfeeding, why do I need WIC? WIC is not the formula place. WIC is the breastfeeding support place. They have, like I said, they have breastfeeding peer counselors that can answer any of your concerns, questions, the normal stuff. If there's anything higher level, there's usually a certified lactation specialist or counselor on staff that can answer them. And then if it's outside of their scope, they can always refer you to an IBCLC. They also can provide you with breast pumps at no cost. If you've been looking at breast pumps, you know that that is a major benefit, because a good breast pump can cost you over $300. And WIC gives the good ones. They don't give the little raggedy ones that insurance companies like to give out. WIC gives the one with all the bells and whistles. It has the storage bag, the coolers, the extra bottles, all that stuff that goes along with it. They also give you more food when you breastfeed. Moms who are breastfeeding actually get more food than pregnant moms from WIC, and it can save you a lot of money on groceries. Last time I calculated it, the monthly benefit for pregnant moms, for pregnant moms is usually about $65, and for breastfeeding moms it's closer to $90. So $90 that you don't have to spend out of your own pocket every month, that's major. That helps the household out a lot. And then, like I said, when you're ready to go back to work, you can have if you're going back to work, you can have a back to work session with the peer counselor to help you get ready for pumping and all that kind of stuff. So WIC is a really good community resource. And of course, I'm all about WIC. WIC works. I was a WIC peer counselor for 5 years. So, and I was a mom who was on WIC. So I was on both sides of the table. So I can tell you that WIC is definitely a good source of assistance. And you should find out whether you qualify or not. As far as finding a support group, find them now. Don't wait until baby comes, because you don't want to be sitting up at 3:30 in the morning and you're just tired and you are over it and baby is not cooperating, and you want to be able to have somebody to reach out to. You don't want to have to try to search and find somebody in that moment. You want to already have a group or a person in mind before baby gets here, because preparation leads to success. Knowledge is power, and support is success. Those two things together are very, very important to make sure that breastfeeding goes off well. So Felicia, this is baby number 2. Did you nurse your oldest? Oh, somebody has come into the waiting room. Okay, you didn't. So you have already made steps towards being successful this time. So yay, because education is the key. Are you feeling more confident this time around? What made you want to try this time? I don't know what that was. I don't know what that was. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that happens a lot. But you get older, hopefully wiser. You know better, you do better. So you are already on the path to getting there. Let's see. I do want to point out that like I said, part of getting ready is discussing your breastfeeding desires with your healthcare provider. Have any of you done that yet? Or are you aware of whether or not your healthcare provider is breastfeeding supportive? If you go to Wayne County Healthy Communities, you're already on a good track, because we are making sure that they are a breastfeeding friendly clinic. But if that's not where you are, you want to make sure that your provider is on the same page as you when it comes to how you feed your baby, because it's not, some providers are not really comfortable discussing breastfeeding. They feel like it's a personal choice. And even though obviously it is your choice, it's not a lifestyle issue, it's a public health issue. So that's something that doctors should be involved in, and involved with talking to their patients about. So you want to make sure that your doctor is in line and on board with breastfeeding and supportive of you doing so, and that they're not trying to hand you out formula samples or different stuff like that, which can derail your success. We have somebody else who came in. If you can, go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat. I don't know if you can see the questions since you just dialed in, but we're just trying to find out, is this your first baby? If not, did you breastfeed before? Yes, you. Because you just came on board. We did record the earlier section of the class. Were there any questions specifically that you had that you wanted answered about breastfeeding? Let's see. As I said, yeah. First baby. Oh, okay. So how old is he? Okay, latching without hurting. 8 days old. Okay. So, thank you for asking that question. That wasn't something that was addressed this week. That'll be in further classes. But the one thing that's important to know is that breastfeeding should not hurt. Pain is your body's way of telling you something is wrong. So I'm glad that you're asking for help. The main thing is to make sure that he is ready to eat. Unlike a bottle, you can't force a nipple into a baby's mouth. If baby is not ready to nurse, it's not happening. And he was only a week early, so you were 39 weeks, because sometimes if babies are early, so he's ready. Sometimes when babies are early, they're not as, it's not as easy to get them to latch. But you also want to make sure that they are calm, because if you wait until baby is very upset and angry and like acting like he's starving to death, it's also very hard to get him to latch appropriately. You want to look for his early hunger signs. So like when he's smacking his lips, turning his head towards you, licking his lips, making what I call the kissy lips. When he's putting his fingers in his mouth, sometimes they just get kind of wiggly. All of those are early hunger signs. When he's doing those things, that's, hey, Ma, I'm hungry. I'd like to eat now. And he's still kind of calm. But when you don't pay attention to those signs, or you don't see those signs, and he goes to the next level where he starts to get kind of fussy, or he's just like rolling all over the place, eating his hands like he's chewing them up. So, okay. I'm wondering if his mouth is smaller. Was he early? You said he was a week early, but was he only 1 week before your due date? Okay. How much did he weigh? You can unmute yourself too. You don't have to type. Let's see. First baby. Okay, 1 week early. Emergency C-section. Because that makes me wonder a lot of questions. If you want, you can chat me directly. Hello? If you don't want to. Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
There's another one just came in. You said it was an emergency C-section. Was it your blood pressure? Was he having issues?
I ended up in labor for almost 20 hours before the C-section, and then I just wasn't dilating. So his heart rate started to go up and down, and the doctors didn't feel comfortable waiting it out. Okay. And then they were worried that I had an infection in my uterus at that point after essentially breaking my water. So they wanted to go in and basically get him out faster.
Okay. So failure to progress and fetal distress. Okay. So if you're paying attention to his signs, when his mouth is open wide, like he's yawning, bring him into you. Don't lean down into him. Okay. And the reason why is because you want to bring him in so that his mouth goes as far back onto the areola as possible. Because if you lean down into him, when baby is ready, as soon as anything comes in here, they clamp down. Okay. So if you lean down into him, as soon as your nipple comes here, he is going to And
then
ooh, that hurts.
to do because
Yes.
you tend to, and it's a bit easier right now with my stitches.
Yes. So with the stitches, if you don't have a boppy or like a nursing pillow, you can lay like a regular pillow on top of your belly. The football hold is most effective. And of course, I'm down here and my baby doll is upstairs.
It's
But the
okay.
football hold is
They did show
exactly.
me how to do that in the hospital, and I try to, but it's the most uncomfortable position I feel like. But I do use the bop wall, but I just feel like
Okay, so is it painful or is it just, it's kind of awkward for you?
it's painful because he clamps down on me.
Okay, so, and you're pulling him into you, or are you leaning down towards
I'm
him?
leaning down more so than pulling him in, so I think I need to switch over to leaning him
Yeah,
in.
because if you pull him in, his mouth is wide open. You pull him in until he stops and his nose is touching your breast. That way his mouth is still nice and wide and he gets back behind the nipple onto the areola. Your nipple stretches when it's in his mouth. And it goes to the back of his mouth where his tongue is on the bottom and his soft palate is on the top. So you're between two soft places and then you don't have the pain. If you lean down into him and he clamps down when you come in, it's bone under those gums. That
Yeah, that's exactly. I
hurts.
feel him, his gums. That's what he's doing. He's
Yes.
biting me.
And it's bone under there and it's very painful. Plus, as your nipple starts to stretch, his hard palate is in the front of his mouth and that's where those ridges are. And it can feel like your nipple is literally on a cheese grater. Trust me, I have been there. It hurts. And so that's when you know something is wrong though, because breastfeeding should not hurt. So making sure that you bring him into you. And a lot of times people get nervous because they're like, oh, he can't breathe. His nose is, I promise you he can't. I promise you
Yeah,
he
I
can't.
do worry about him suffocating
Yes.
because he does
Yes.
stick his face in there, but he's good.
Yeah, babies are born to breastfeed, and when they press their nose in, their nostrils actually flare out to the side. That's one of the reasons why babies tend to have a little bit flatter noses than we do. The bridge is not as fully formed because they are born to breastfeed. And when he's pulled in and his nose is touching you, his nostrils flare out to the side so he can keep breathing. He is a little human. If he could not breathe, he would let go. I promise, because they need to breathe just like we do. So bring him in, make sure that he's deeply onto the breast, that his nose is touching you, and that you're bringing him to you instead of leaning over into him. Because not only does it hurt with as far as him latching incorrectly, eventually your back will be really, really sore doing that too. So yeah, bringing him into you and making sure his mouth is nice and wide. If he gets on and it hurts, take this part of your finger, put it in the corner of his mouth, break the suction. Don't just snatch him off because, oh, it'll feel like he's going to pull your nipple off. Break the suction in the corner of his mouth and try again. It takes a little bit of practice, you know. Babies are born to breastfeed, but some of them need a little bit more practice than others to get good at it. But it does get easier. I promise it does. I've done it twice for a total of 45 months. So it does get easier because nobody would do it for 2 whole years or a year or even 6 weeks if it didn't. The first 2 weeks are usually the roughest, and it is a lot harder when you have a C-section because you're still healing too. But bringing him in instead of leaning over into him should help a lot. And I will put, let me see if I have information for support groups. There is a support group that meets every Saturday virtually, and then there's one, and that's for moms of color in the state of Michigan. It is by Southeast Michigan IBCLCs of Color, which I said I am a member of, and it meets every Saturday at 3 p.m. And there is always also a mental health professional. There's an IBCLC, a peer counselor, and a mental health professional on every single call. So, and we always have a pretty good turnout. And there's another group, but I'm not sure if it's just for Black moms or if it's for all moms of color. I'm gonna check. I'm going to put the information in the chat so you can check it out since you've already had your little one, and you need to find a support group. And it's free, obviously.
Thank you.
Okay. And Ileana, I don't know if I'm saying this correctly.
Yes, you did. Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can introduce yourself. Is this baby number 1, 2, more?
Yes, so I am actually not, I don't have a baby yet, but due in 12 days, so October
Oh my
10th.
goodness.
Yeah, and I am sort of looking everything up, all things breastfeeding. So I'm glad that I found this work group, support group. And I live in DC, Washington, DC, and this will be my first baby. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
And how did you find us in DC?
So actually one of my ex-roommates, she posted this group because she's from I guess the area where this group is located. And so she just I put it I followed the link and the information for it. So
Okay. Now all the information I have obviously is local here to Michigan, but since everything is virtual right now, we do sometimes get out of state folks on our stuff. So if you wanted to log in, like I said, this was just a beginning class, and most of you are pretty far along. This class is a series of 8 that usually runs every other week, but it looks like some of you may need to join or at least find a support group or something before these classes are over. Okay.
I did want to ask a question. I don't know if you covered this earlier because I just joined about 10 minutes ago. Do you recommend taking nipple shields or using nipple shield? Okay.
You don't even have to finish the question.
All right.
No. Nipple shields are a tool that should only be used under the advisement and direct supervision of an IBCLC. I hate the fact that you can buy them in Target because people go and they see them in the baby aisle and they're like, yes, I will buy this because I am breastfeeding, and they have absolutely no idea what they're doing with them. They can be very helpful for certain issues. Usually preemies, if mom has like inverted nipples, or if baby has a tongue tie or some sort of oral issue that needs to be fixed that's causing extreme pain and nipple damage. But other than that, no, they don't need to be used.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Oh, and the email. I don't know the email by heart, our website. I'm putting all of the information here in the chat. Every Saturday at 3 p.m. there's an IBCLC, peer counselor, and a mental health professional. I know this week there will be Dr. Angie will be on, and she's a doctor of psychology. She'll be part of the support group this week. We also have 2 master's level social workers who have a concentration in counseling, and they all have their own private practices. And they are on the call with us every week for free. And if you've ever been to therapy, you know that that is a major big deal, that there are free therapists on the call. Let's see, Ola. How do you prepare? Oh, see, you're asking questions that won't come up until the next few weeks, but there's nothing you need to do. Nature's got you covered, just like the slide said. Your body knows what to do. Your body is growing a person and it is getting ready to make food to feed that person. There is nothing special you need to do. There's no preparation for your nipples. There's no special diet or tea or cookie or shake or none of that stuff that you've probably seen on Google or through the different support groups. There is nothing that you can't eat. You started making breast milk somewhere around 16 weeks of pregnancy. So you already have milk. Your body is ready and it will have food for your baby on their birthday. I promise.
Thank you.
Let's see. Let me see in the website. I should know this, but I don't. You can check out the social media or the website to sign up for support group. Okay, I forgot to put the www. Here we go. And we also offer free, well, not free, but no cost to you, virtual or in-person home visits if you're having major issues after baby comes. So let's see, you can have coffee with that. Okay, so caffeine, just like everything else that you take in, does pass through into your milk. However, it passes through in very, very tiny amounts. So like if you have a cup of coffee, baby gets like, I can't even, like a milliliter of coffee, which is like literally 2 or 3 drops. And every baby is different as far as their sensitivity to caffeine, but most moms can have about 2 cups a day without it causing any major issues. If you notice that your baby gets fussy or jittery, then obviously you know that your baby is more sensitive, and you should, yeah, it's pretty negligible, the amount that gets through. So if your baby is like super sensitive and you notice that they're getting fussy and jittery, then obviously you need to cut back. But most mamas can do about 2 cups a day without it causing any issues. And every baby is different. So like if if your first baby was like absolutely no coffee at all, you had to go cold turkey, that doesn't mean that this baby will be the same way. I can say with my 2, like my oldest hated onions and cabbage and basically like anything like that. And so I couldn't have any of those things. And then plus when they get older and their systems are a little bit less sensitive, you can bring it back. By the time she was like 3 months old, I was able to add those things back into my diet. My son, I could have rubbed onions on my nipples and he would not have minded. So every baby is different. And you just need to make sure that you're paying attention to the signs that your baby is showing you. Looking. Okay, so we are at the end of our hour. I've put that information in there. I'm still not clear on whether the other group is for all moms of color or not. And I don't know which WIC, well, all of you don't have WIC, so, but some of the WIC organizations are doing support group for moms, but I think you have to be, part of their, you have to go to their WIC office or their WIC organization in order to go into their support group. So, that's the other one. There's one that's through St. John Hospital. There's one through St. John, and let me pull that up. They meet, I want to say every other week. They go, yeah, like every other week. And I will put that in the chat. Go here. Okay, any other questions? before I wrap this up, trying to see if I can find her flyer. But she teaches, she's a WIC affiliated peer counselor, but you do not have to be a WIC mom to go to her support group. It's run through St. John Hospital, the main one. And it's called the Mother Nurture Support Group. Where is it at? There's a flyer. There we go. Okay, so it's every Thursday at 3 p.m. Okay, she has the whole link in here. Let me see if I can type it out without messing it up. Or maybe I can just upload the picture. Perhaps I will do that. Can save it there. All right. And then I will send it over so I can just share the photo. And then that way, I don't have to worry about whether I typed it correctly or not. It will just be in there and you can save it or screen share it or whatever. Okay. Nope, not there. Just, there we go. Okay. Sent it. All right, and now I can share it to you all. Okay. There we go. Photo. Okay, so I'm going to share the screen right now so you can see it. Where is it at? There it is. Okay. You see that? If you want to take a screenshot right quick, they meet every Thursday at 3 o'clock on Zoom. And that one is open to any mom in Michigan, or, you know, if you're out of Michigan and just need to find a support group for right now until you can find one local, because it is virtual, they are accepting everybody right now. So I can do that. Go stop share. Let's see. Oops. There it go. No, it's not sharing. Ugh. Okay. Okay, well, we have made it to the end of our hour. There's going to be another class in 2 weeks. Fatima, did you want to tell them when the next class would be?
Yes, thank you so much, Tameka. That was a really amazing session as usual. Our next session is going to be on Monday, October 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern. And like we've mentioned, this session was recorded, so I will be sending out the clip of the full hour to all of you, especially so that if you came in a little bit late, you can catch the introduction pieces that Tameka went over. And you can always let me know if you have any questions, or if there's something that we can be improving along the way for these classes.
Okay, and Rachel, did you want to talk about the follow-up piece, the quiz or whatever?
Sure. Tomorrow we'll be sending out a link to an online Google form, so you can fill out a survey. It's super short. Should only take a minute or two, but just so we can get feedback on how you like the class, and if you have any questions or topics you want to learn about. So yeah. That'll be very helpful for us.
Okay, thank you everybody for coming. You gave me great questions, keep me on my toes. I like that. Definitely check out one of the support groups so that you can have people on your team that are ready to support you in meeting your breastfeeding goals. And hopefully I'll see you guys in about 2 weeks.